Take Action Real Estate Podcast, episode 40.
Welcome to the Take Action Real Estate Podcast, where we share our knowledge and experience to help you become a better investor. Coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, Brian and John talk about all topics real estate, share their successes and failures, as well as interview amazing people to help you avoid the pitfalls and find success on your real estate journey.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Take Action Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, John Horner, here with Brian Reitler. We are here in Columbus, Ohio, and we're excited to share our knowledge and experience with you. We've been in real estate together for, well, you say 5 years. Now it's closer to 6 years, I guess. And
seems like about a month.
It goes fast, doesn't it? Currently have about 120, 130 rental units that we manage in-house. We plan to flip 40 houses this year, which is 2019. And we're just excited to grow. We have 6 employees and growing, seven employees actually. And so today we're going to be talking about a cool flip. But first, Brian, how you doing this week?
I'm doing well. I'm excited that we got bank approval on our next purchase of a few apartments. And so that's been going pretty well. We had an inspection there, I think, maybe a few days ago, and just to kind of get the sewer lines looked at. Some reason lately we've had higher than what we think should be usual number of sewer lines being replaced. And
they're not cheap.
And so we really wanted to, if you're buying 6 buildings, you kind of want to make sure that you're not going to be putting out, $50,000, $60,000 just in sewer lines or something.
We have 6 buildings, and each building had 2 main drains, didn't they?
I think so. I think
there could have been up to 12 mains and $5,000 a pop or something to dig them up and replace them if there's a leak.
Yeah, I mean, the contractor we were using, I don't know, the first time we used him, he started out at $2,500 or something, and the last time was $5,000 or something. So we were trying to really get a handle on just some of those kind of details before we really step into it. I'm excited about the bank loan. The bank loan, they're going to do 80% of rehab and purchase. So we're trying to sort through what kind of rehab we're going to do. So that's kind of cool that we don't have to self-fund the rehab.
Yeah, that was kind of an added bonus. That's exciting. What else we got going on this week? Got a lot of leads coming in. We actually have 2 separate mailers. One of them was kind of a rental mailer, I guess. It was to absentee and owner occupied, but we only mailed it to the neighborhoods that we're really holding in. And then directly after that, we were sending out just a straight absentee to all areas, basically, of Columbus. And somehow those overlapped. I'm not sure how. I told the marketing fulfillment company that I wanted them spaced out, but the second half of the first mailer and the first half of the second mailer are all hitting this week. So it's a good problem to have. We have too many leads coming in, and Dan, our acquisitions guy, I think he's been out pretty much 2 full days, out running around, looking at properties, making offers, negotiating and things. So we have, I think, a handful, 3, 4, 5 properties in contract now to purchase. Some of them are going to be flips, some rental properties, but it's exciting. I mean, it's all part of growth, is getting those off-market leads in and getting them closed.
This year we decided to up our marketing by 60%. And yeah, it's kind of cool to see, hey, you can kind of make a plan. Hey, how are we going to solve all this? Or are you just going to throw out the mailers and see what happens and kind of sort through it as it comes? And so it's interesting to see the process of all these leads coming in and what we can do with them. Obviously you're not landing all of them. And some people we have one call the other day, hey, you're wasting my time. My house is worth $100,000. I'll sell it for $300,000 or something like that.
Yeah. We always get calls like that. That's fun. Yeah. Not only are we, I guess, spending more and sending out more mailers and doing more web marketing and things, but we're being more consistent. So we were talking about, especially direct mail, there's a lag there. Same thing with SEO. I mean, the investment is up front, but for direct mail, from the time that you pay for the mailer and organize it and everything, it might be 6 to 8 weeks by the time it hits. So in the past, we might have had 4, 5, 6 deals come in 1 month, which in the past has been really good, and they all came from wholesalers. So, we say, well, let's just save our money until we have a lull. Well, by the time we have a lull, you have to go pay the money for the mailer, and then you still got to wait 6 to 8 weeks for it to hit. So This year, I'm trying to be extremely consistent. Every single month, I'm sending out between 10 and 20,000 mailers, and also I'm using multiple drips. I'm using 2, 3, or 4 drips. So, I might break it into quarters and do one every month or one every week of the month. Or if it's a smaller one, I may just do 2 drips. So I do 2 weeks, half and half. But it keeps Dan, the acquisitions guy, busy. But it also spreads the leads out, throughout the month, so we're not getting hammered on one week.
Yeah, we got some other acquisition type marketing strategies in the works, driving for dollars and what different things we got going on. So this is kind of a cool year. We got some cool.
Brian, come on, those are our secrets.
Yeah, driving for dollars is a pretty big secret.
No one's ever heard of that before. So anyway, we have an exciting show today. It's a past flip that we did. It's one of the highest profit flips that we've done, and we're not gonna give the exact numbers on those, but it's in Upper Arlington, which anybody who's familiar with Columbus knows that's a pretty high end area. It's kind of prestigious to live in Upper Arlington. The schools are extremely good. You're close to campus. You're close to downtown. It's just very central location.
Yeah, the houses there, they're just standard houses. You put that house in Southern Pines and it's worth $140,000, $150,000. Same exact house.
That's true. I mean, especially like with, I don't want to say as cheap as you can get a new build now because they're not cheap, but comparatively, it's about the same price for ours was a 3-bed ranch, 3-bed, 2-bath ranch, I believe.
The full basement, yep.
Full basement, and you could basically build a house for the same price, and you're talking, a decent size, probably 3,000 square foot house, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath maybe, and in the $450,000 range. So,
yeah, this house I think it was 1,700 square feet plus the basement, and so it boggles my mind. Yeah. 1,700 square feet, location is everything.
Absolutely. So, all right, let's get into this deal. So we found this one found us really from our website. And back then, I think it was when our John Buys Houses Ohio site was just kind of up and running. And we were running quite a bit of pay-per-click. I think we were running about $2,000 a month in pay-per-click. And this lady had reached out to us and said that she wanted to sell her house. And we actually had it was a VA that was working for us, but she was also local, and she was a local agent. So when people called in, she was calling them back, trying to get them on the phone, kind of want to gauge their motivation, how much they wanted for the house, and she would set up appointments for us and stuff. And so this lady had submitted a web form online, so she didn't actually call in. And I remember me and the VA, we were both trying very hard to get her on the phone, and at the beginning we could not get her on the phone. And this lead came in a couple years ago. It's a deal we did a couple years ago, but I just went back and looked at the notes, and it's me and Jenny, who's our old VA, kind of going back and forth like, I tried to call, left a message. 4 hours later, I'd get on there. Yeah, I tried to call, didn't answer, left a voicemail. Just I knew it was Upper Arlington. I knew it was extremely desirable, and we wanted to get a hold of it. So finally, we were able to get into the house. Had an appointment, so we went in. Brian and I went, and walking into the house was a bit of a surprise. I think the exterior was very nice and kept up, but the inside was a bit of a mess. Had a certain smell to it.
Yeah, it was a really strong.
It was a strong smell.
I'm not really even sure, like mildew, mold, cat. All kind of mixed in together.
Yeah, and it was an older lady that lived there, and she had lived there by herself for a long time. And she wasn't in the best health. She wanted to get into a condo that was kind of smaller and easier to get around. And so we walked through the house with her, built rapport. We explained to her that we could buy the house for cash, and anything that she didn't want, she could leave, and we would trash it out. And going through and talking to her while we were building rapport, we realized, or she explained to us, that really her biggest problem was she didn't have anywhere to go. And she was obviously going to have some money coming to her, and she wanted to buy a condo nearby. And so we said, well, we have an employee who's a real estate agent, and this is before Brian had his real estate license. We said, well, why don't you give her a call and tell her what you're looking for, and we'll have her, help you find a place to live. And she said, well, that'd be a great idea. So that's exactly what we did. And in the end, that it really sealed the deal for us, for her selling the house to us, is because we were able to offer that kind of additional service, which is, a buyer's agent, to go out and help her find a property.
Yeah, I think we were a little anxious a little bit because we brought a contract with us, and I think she signed it there. Like, I remember sitting at her kitchen table and trying not to touch too much. It was pretty dirty in there. And I think she signed the contract. But then it was kind of all contingent on her being able to move somewhere. And so I think it took a while for her to find, maybe 2 or 3 weeks to find some place that she would buy. And we kept trying to bug Jenny, what's going on? Hey, have you found a place yet?
Yeah. But it all worked out.
It worked out. Yeah, then we bought the house. And, when we bought it, I think we thought it was going to sell around 300, 315,
300, 320.
Like
yeah.
The house next door sold for 290 recently.
Yeah. And I think it was even a little bit bigger. It wasn't going to be as fully updated as ours, but I believe it was bigger. And I think the yard had a few more amenities, a little bit bigger or something. Yeah.
So we were kind of in the, we'll sell this for around 300, a little bit more. And the numbers were good. I think, what did we buy it for? Like 175, 180.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the numbers seemed like it was going to be good, and so we decided, well, let's do a pretty good higher end rehab. We bought different doors than we normally buy, and it was hardwood floors throughout, so we finished all those.
I still love those doors. The ones, they're like colonial style, kind of, with the big block at the top. Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, so we did all this stuff. We finished off the basement. We even put a drop ceiling in the laundry room to kind of make the laundry room a little bit more finished.
Well, because there was a toilet in there too, wasn't there?
Yeah, we kind of made that into a half bath area in the lower level. It was kind of weird, but it worked. Some of these old homes you walk into and they've got like just a toilet sitting in the basement.
A lot of them do. Yeah, no walls around it, no vanity, no sink, just the toilet.
Anyway, so yeah, we finished the basement. We put new HVAC in there. This first house I've ever been in that the crawl space had a concrete floor. So that was kind of interesting that they had, and it actually turned out to be a good thing because we ended up having to put a radon system in there. And so that concrete floor was the sealer for that. They didn't have to put, like a plastic or something over the crawl space. Now that I recall, I think maybe this is skipping ahead a little bit, but that contractor that we hired to put in the, radon system, they cut out a huge section of a floor joist for their system.
I remember that.
And then on inspection, I didn't notice it. I just we hired.
You didn't go back in the crawl space
crawl space and inspect their work. We hired a reputable company in town, and apparently they had some not so reputable subs or people doing the work. But when the buyer had their home inspection, they found this floor joist, so we had to go repair that. And in fact, I think I called the company and they came out and repaired it. So, yeah, that was an interesting experience. So we ended up, even like the front of this, the front doorway had this weird flooring. I'd never seen it before. It's almost like tar with tile.
I had seen it. I think it was in my grandma's house back in Cleveland. That's what it looked like it was real 40
strange.
Or 50 years old. And
it was kind of cool. We were able to take all that out, and then we hired a wood floor contractor to come in and sort of interleave wood floor back in to make it all wood floor. Continuing with the contractor issues, that wood floor contractor was a little bit of a problem because we ended up paying him before he gave us a tax form, which is, we were kind of green. Maybe that's not the right word. Maybe it is. Anyway, at this time, so would come tax season, I'd paid this guy, I don't know, $2,500 or something, and I never got his W-9 information on where to send the 1099. So we had to document all this for the taxes, and that we tried to reach out to him. And now we just don't pay anybody until we get that information. Hey, if you want to get paid, we need a W-9. So
yeah, that's a good lesson for people to learn from. If you haven't done a lot of this, basically what that means is if we weren't able to prove that we paid him for that job, we'd have to eat his taxes. Right?
Yeah, we'd have to pay his taxes.
So we couldn't call that an expense on our books basically because we couldn't prove it.
Right.
So that, you're not going to be able to write off that expense, and we're going to have to pay the taxes on that $2,500 even though we had paid that out. So don't make the mistakes we did back in the day. Learn from them. Make sure you get a W-9 or 1099?
W-9. So you can give a 1099.
Exactly. Thank you. Brian's the tax guy of the company.
Oh, yeah. So just continue. We put some nicer cabinets. We got, I think the refrigerator we ended up buying was like $1,700. It was a nicer refrigerator than we normally buy, and this was again, we were back in the day. We were kind of new. We were still trying to do things. I would still go to the store to buy stuff sometimes for the contractors just to keep things moving, and so we were over there one day, and John and I were like, oh, let's just move this in, and yeah, it didn't work out so well.
We tried to get it in the front door without taking the screen door off, and huge scratch right down the front of the door, stainless
steel, really good, and we're like, oh crap. Yeah, so we ended up we had to buy a new refrigerator because there was no way to fix it.
We sold that to some guy on Craigslist for like a couple $100 or something. So we ended up losing like $1,500. That was so stupid. Gosh.
So yeah, now the company we buy appliances from, they're required to deliver and install as much as possible, because then it's on them if they do that kind of stupidness.
Again, learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, we re-sided the house. We used a little bit different board and batten on the front. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, it looked nice.
Yeah, the only thing that was weird about that house is it had a red roof, and
it was in good condition. So
and it was like relatively new, but it was like didn't really match the siding color. We kicked around the idea of spray painting just lightly to knock down the red and make it look a little bit less red, but we decided not to do that. So.
How about the master bath? That was so it had a master bath, but it was only a toilet and vanity in it when we purchased it. It was fairly small, and somehow we finagled a shower, stand-up shower in there, and we got a custom glass door. We kind of had to because it was such a small space, and we had gone back and forth on that because we knew the shower was going to be small, and it all had to be custom because so we did custom tile, I think, on the floors and on the walls. You couldn't just buy something off the shelf and put it in there.
It had kind of an L-shaped, an L isn't quite the right word. It had a skinny opening, little sort of hallway going into the master bedroom, and then it sort of turned around to the left, really big open room that had a long closet. So behind the door, when you were walking in that little skinny area, we put a closet. So, and we took the long closet out and made it a shorter closet. So there was 2 closets in the master bedroom now. And we took the probably the 3/4 of the longer closet and just closed off the wall and used it for the bathroom or the shower on the other side. So it was kind of a narrow shower, but it was all custom, had a custom shower pan, had a little pedestal in it you could sit on or to shave your legs or whatever if you do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I always use that when I shave my legs.
It turned out great. I mean, it looked really nice, and it was a little narrow, but I think it added a lot of salability and functionality to the room.
Yeah, I think it did. I think even like on the listing side, being able to say 3-bed, 2.5 bath, because we had that bathroom in the basement, instead of saying, 3-bed and 1 full bath and 2 half bath, because then people know that there's not a master. They might not even go look at it. Like a 3, 1.5. If you're looking for a master bath, you're not even going to go look at it. So people get in there and they see how nice the house actually is. Even though the shower might be on the small side, it still adds a lot of value.
Yeah, for sure. I remember that it had a sunroom with some old windows that kind of crank open, and we had a hard time finding the cranks, and they ended up being like $60 or $70 each.
Oh, really?
And,
I don't remember that.
And they all needed replaced. Some of the glass in those needed replaced. And in fact, there was a closet in the dining room that sort of butted up to another closet in one of the bedrooms. And I remember thinking, we could make a little cool. We ended up closing off that closet. And you could open up a little cubby in the closet in the bedroom right into that closet. So you could make like a cool little kid's hiding place. We thought about doing it, but I was like, take too much to explain to people.
We'll let the next owner do
Someone will knock on the wall and be like, hey, it's real hollow in here. Or there's like a gap between these walls. What's going on?
What else we do? We did HVAC, kitchen granite appliance. Yeah,
I think we even put a nice stove in there. It had a gas stove. We bought a little bit higher, not thousands of dollars, but maybe we spent $1,200 on a gas stove, which we would normally spend like $500 or $600.
Yeah. So it looked, we got done. It looked fantastic. And when we went to put it up to sell, we started looking at comps and realized that the comps were way higher after we got done. with I think it was a 5-month rehab. 4 or 5
I don't
months.
think it took that. Yeah, maybe it took that
mean,
long because
maybe-
we had to wait for her to buy
from
a
the
house.
time from the time that we purchased it. And in that time, the comps had, from what we looked at the beginning, they were between 300 and 320. And on the back end, they were looking more like 360, 350 to 360.
Right.
And obviously, we were ecstatic. So we ended up listing it for 360, just thinking, well, we'll give it a shot, And ended up getting a full price cash offer within like the first or second day, which was incredible. And, closed it quick. And, everything turned out well, except for the inspection. I don't know if you remember. This is like the most particular inspector we've ever had, and he caught like everything. He caught not caught, but I guess he called out everything that probably things that weren't even necessary. Like on the first floor, there were some outlets with like the grounds, and they wanted us, their request to remedy. They basically want us to do everything that this inspector.
What's
had found.
interesting about that is right around that time I had gotten the idea that we should hire a home inspector.
Oh yeah.
And in fact, before we bought that, we brought a home inspector over there, and he walked through and did sort of talked through with us
After the rehab.
No, this was before we even purchased. I paid a home inspector like $100-$200 to walk through with me to make sure I was, because I knew it was going to be a little bit higher end rehab, so I wanted to hear. And then once we got towards the end, we hired a home inspection company to come. We want you to come and do a regular. We knew we weren't quite done, but we wanted them to do a regular home inspection and hit us on everything, and that way we could address every little thing before we went on the market. And I remember that guy came in, and I think our cleaning lady was there, and there was still a handful of things still left undone. And she said, yeah, he was just complaining the whole time that with this, he's never done a home inspection on a house that's not yet rehabbed completely. And so we get that inspection report, and actually the radon system was already installed because we knew we were going to have to do radon, and we did this as part of the rehab. He did not catch that floor joist that was cut open. Mm-hmm. He didn't even crawl back in the crawl space to do his inspection. I was so ticked off because I was excited, like, oh, we've got everything. And then when we sold it, that guy brought his home inspector, and they did it, and they caught all this stuff that I was like, I can't believe I paid $400 for some guy to come in here and not help us at all.
Yeah. It's probably a good idea if you have the right people. We just didn't at that time. We should have hired the guy who ended up doing the final inspection.
Absolutely.
To go through all of our houses when we're done with them to make sure. But
yeah, we don't do that now. I mean, we kind of know what to look for. We definitely, the major things, we try to hit them. And so hopefully most of the things that come back on an inspection are just little minor details, and we almost always do everything that's asked of us.
Yeah. So yeah, the property sold, everything went well. And actually, we looked back at the property, and I think about a year after we sold it to the buyer, he had sold it again for $20,000 higher. I think he sold it for $380,000, and didn't add anything to it. He didn't have to. It was basically brand new when he moved in. Just amazing how much, especially like Upper Arlington, this neighborhood is appreciating. In 1 year, it appreciated a fair amount. Yeah. Definitely more than average. And really, there's a lot of pockets of Columbus that are appreciating like that, and even more. Old Town East at that time was blowing up as well. You could buy a house for $50,000 next to one that just sold for $299 or something. Very interesting.
Yeah, we love talking about and thinking back over, even just in this episode, just kind of coming up and the different things that come up, and remind you of the stories that you experienced back 3 or 4 years ago now. So hope you liked the episode. Hope you liked listening to our experiences in this particular deal. And yeah, if you got any deals that you're interested in getting analysis on, or want to talk with us about just different contracting issues or business issues, we're happy to lend our experience, and you can learn from our mistakes too, hopefully.
Absolutely. And don't move your own appliances.
You can see all the show notes from this week's episode at takeactionrealestate.com/episode 40.
Thanks, everybody.